I want to go through just very quickly several different aspects of why this system really doesn't work. Number one, it contradicts traditional teaching in American education. They call this the New American School. I call it the New Un-American School. Mark Tucker has said, and he is from the National Center of Education and the Economy, along with Lauren Resnick of the University of Pittsburgh, who used to be from Carnegie, said specifically, we have to break the current system, the traditional system, root and branch. And to do this, we must change the culture in society and change the attitudes and values of the community. In order to create the change, these people, the educational elite, must force the change. The second, this system ridicules knowledge. It trivializes knowing facts and universal knowledge that has made America one of the greatest technological countries in the world. They used little slogans and techniques like less is more to the Theodore Sizer. The less you know, the more you're going to go along. Because basically, if you don't have the knowledge and the base and the facts, we will not be able to make the proper decisions. So the whole idea of limiting knowledge is to limit the scope of your decisions. The third is that it conflicts with the competitive nature of American capitalism, supporting different concepts that are contradicting everything that Americans stand for. The first thing is that you have no competition. Remember that this system is all children can learn, everyone must meet the same standard. And remember this slogan, do we really want equity in results? Everyone's meeting the same standard, everyone is treated the same, everyone is the same. Or do we want equity and opportunity? Everyone will have the opportunity to meet their potential. What do you want for your children? Do you want equity in results? Or do you want equity in opportunity? And that's what we're talking about. In an outcome-based, performance-based, or standard-based system, we will have equity in results. Now, we have all the William Spady OBE guru training tapes, and he says, we don't want competition. We do not want comparing children. We do not want ability levels. Therefore, we will not have any grade point averages, no class rank, nothing that we can compare these children to. So what is happening when this happens, that everyone's meeting the same standard and there is no competition? You must take away the human spirit to want to compete and do your best. In order to do that, you have to change the awards. Where before children would compete to make an A or to do their best, the rugged individualism in all of us, now we have to reward them to do something that is very unnatural. What we normally had was the bell curve. If I would give a test to everyone in this room about OBE, some of you would do very well, most of you would be in the middle, and some of you would fail miserably. That's because all of you are on a different level. What William Spady says is, I don't like that. We're all going to meet the same standard. So I tell everyone, well, hey, that's great. Then we'll all go down to the gym. We'll go over where the gym is, and I'm going to tell you that we're all going to do a slam dunk. You're not going to be able to leave. So you will have to stay. Whether you stay till tomorrow to midnight, none of you will leave until you do a slam dunk. It's performance, you know. Eventually, what am I going to have to do so that we can go home? I will have to lower that hoop until you all can meet the outcome. So the whole idea is that the standard must be lowered in order for all children in the, they call it the natural distribution of random, no, it's the natural distribution of random phenomena. No, it's the, it's natural phenomena, and it's random distribution. So what you have is something that is very natural, that we are, that human beings are. It's very natural that all of us are on different levels. And there's so many variables out there as to why we are on those different levels. But William Spady says, I don't like that, because I want everyone to be the same. So when you look at the old system and you compare it to the new system, what you find is under traditional education, you had time was the constant. You went to school for 180 days. You took basic, standard pieces of curriculum. You had English, you had math, you had history or social studies, you had geography, you had things that you could put your finger on. And time was your constant. But ability levels went like this. Why? Because all the different variables out there. You have motivation, you have self-esteem, you have mom, you have dad, you have Aunt Alice who went to Yale, you have the people around you, you have your age, you have your... There's so many different variables out there that determine the flexibility of where you are in the system. The paradigm is that they've taken tradition and they've turned it on its head. So before, where time was your constant, now the standard or the result is constant. So ability level will be constant and time will vary. It doesn't matter when you do that slam dunk. I don't care if you stay here forever, as long as you do the slam dunk eventually. So in order to understand what a paradigm is, basically the definition of it's not what you think, parents. You are all in a traditional paradigm. And why you are in the traditional paradigm, because when they tell you special education, you're thinking of the child in the wheelchair. When they are talking about history and we're talking about citizenship, you're thinking about basic U.S. history and voting, and it's something else over here. So to enable the change to take place, lies, deception, slogans, marketing will be used to get you to agree until it's too late. So the whole idea is focusing in on really what is going to be measured, what is going to be done, and really forcing definitions. And basically, the next area is that they blame seat time or the calendar on poor performance instead of ability levels, intelligence, or individual motivation. They're saying that, gee, you had to sit in that chair. It's the system that's wrong. It's not kids. Kids are all the same, right? It's because they had to sit there. So really what they're saying is that normal common sense is not really what we're after. We're after a system where everything is standardized, everyone meets the same standard, and you have to ask yourself, well, gee, what does that mean? If everyone's going to meet the same standard, and everyone is going to be over here, and everyone is going to make A's, how do you differentiate, and how does an employer differentiate who they're going to hire? Are we going to hire the best? How do you know who's the best? How do you know who's the least? How do you know anything if everyone's making? And really, what does that say about the system? And I usually call it the S word, you know, the word that no one likes to say. And if you want me to use those really noble-sounding terms, I can say, well, we're going to have economic democracy. I'm real good at words, because words do have meaning only if you basically know what those words mean. The S word is socialism. We are moving so rapidly toward a socialized education system under an outcome-based system where the standard is constant that everyone has to meet. That is, it is just incredible. The key is, if you are afraid to say socialism, you'll be afraid to fight it. So the key is, yes, we are moving toward where standards are going to be equitable and not opportunity. But the question you have to ask, is this what you want? Is this the direction that you want our American system to go? And basically what I like to do is refer to these people as the mission impossible, because basically it makes no common sense, and as soon as people really understand, we're not going to go anywhere with the system, because Americans aren't dumb. They just haven't been listening. It's not that parents don't care. They don't know. And once they know, they better look out. Well, I call this group the William Spadys, the Benjamin Blooms, the Theodore Sizers, and the John Goodlads, the William Glasser, and all of those neat guys. I call them the Saran Wrap Club. And the reason I call them the Saran Wrap Club is because they have properties that could really be assumed to be about the same. The one property is that they mold to each other. You know, when you pull out a piece of saran wrap, it goes, they're the same way. They sit around and pat each other on the back and say, gee, what a good job you're doing. And they use each other to market themselves in other areas. The second is that they stick together. The third is that they're transparent. You can see right through them. And the fourth is that, you know, with saran wrap, you always want to put a lid on something and cover it up. And I tell parents, just go get your pencils and go to the pencil sharpener and sharpen them real sharp, and we'll just go and pop the saran wrap, and all the truth will come out, because this is really what we're talking about, or the stench, whatever you want to smell or hear that day. But basically, the theory is faulted. The basic underlying theory is faulted, and we've got to realize that until we really pull those things out. So what are they saying? All children can breed success, and schools control the conditions of success. Now, that's interesting when they say schools will control the conditions of success, because think about it. Do